Hello. Yep, I'm back. Yes, I've done a thing over on the makeup channel. Can you tell? Anyway, I thought I would come over here and just natter for a bit about the idea of doing the low content books. Now, everybody and their Uncle Fudd is preaching about doing these low content books to make all this passive income. And we've got the first of the year coming up. People are making their resolutions to start something new or push to do something new or try something new. And with any luck, some of us will make a couple of bucks at it. Now, I want to talk to you about a few things about these low content books not everybody says unless you start really digging in. One of them is the low content books, the majority of them, the ones that people are doing the easiest possible route, they're picking up generic interiors from sellers on Etsy or that's my grandson. He's gonna rip. He does kitten rips. It's really strange. He's got the laugh track going. I don't know how much of that you'll actually hear when I put the background sound filter on, but you'll probably get some of it. He's so cute. Good thing. Where was I? Oh, yeah, the generic interiors. Now, I picked up some of the generic interiors. If you want to know which ones I use, just drop me a note. I'll send you the information. Because a lot of it that I've picked up is stuff where it's absolutely free. Okay? Free. Free. I like free. I'm a cheap thing. Anyway, the bitch is cheap. There we go. But picking up those generic packs or generic files means the interior of your book looks like the interior of every other sellers out there. Believe it or not, it is not that difficult to learn how to do interiors yourself. It's fiddling. The first few of them will drive you to distraction until you get to understand exactly what you need to do. But they're more fiddly than anything. And once you get that first page set up just the way you want it, you can do copy paste or return copy paste depending on how your pages came out, so that you can just, like, if you've done it right, you can paste it. It'll have a return, bring up the blank page. Right below it, you just move your cursor down and do it again. And you can put together a long string of these pages pretty quick. If you didn't get the page set up just right, you may have to hit return at the bottom of the page to get the next page to come up, but it's still just paste, 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 paste. Copy the first one, paste like crazy. And once you get all of the things figured out, just write them down. Just write them down. I use Word. That's it. I use Word. And once I get the file to the number of pages I want, and I've gotten all of the margins and that stuff worked out, and got stuff where I want it, I will save it as a PDF because Kindle Direct Publish loves PDF. However, there's this little thing that will come up when you're reviewing stuff that will go on about your manuscript not having embedded fonts. Doing embedded fonts in Word is dead simple. It is. It's dead simple. It's a few clicks. You just have to know where to click. That will embed the font into your file. But if you do the embedded fonts, that embed will not translate to the PDF. It just doesn't. I don't know why. It just doesn't. But unless you've got a PDF editor, which I don't, I've got a reader, but not an editor, you can't go back and embed in PDF. You can't fix PDF. If you're buying your inserts for the interiors, make sure to check what program those are done in. There are a few people who are selling interior templates, but the interior templates are done in a proprietary layout program. And if you don't have that program, you can't even open the file. I have discovered this. If you don't have Adobe, even if you're picking up a PDF, if you don't have Adobe, if there is something wrong, even just a little scooch on a margin, if you don't have the Adobe program, you can't scooch that PDF file. That's when I started making my own, because I had picked up a few and it was literally just a hair off on the margin. And I have the Adobe Reader. I'm not paying that much for the Adobe program. I don't have it. Okay? Okay. And my 2 books, I did my 2 books in Word. KDP will take Word. So that's when I started finding that some of the PDFs are actually off, just a hair off, and will not go into the KDP correctly, no matter how many times you put it through review. I started making some of my own for some of the books. That's when I discovered that it wasn't really hard. It's like making pasta at home. It's not difficult. I mean, pasta is flour, salt, and eggs. That's it. It's not hard. It's fiddly, because after you get the dough made up, then you have to do all the stuff with the dough and then cut your noodles. And if you don't have a pasta machine, it's a lot of work. Okay? Okay. But once you get it down, you know exactly what you need to do, and it gets easier. So I started making my own interiors. I'm going to continue to make my own interiors. I'm going to start replacing the interiors with the ones I have made my own self. That way it's all mine. Just because. The other thing you've got to remember is that people that are doing this at the minimum amount of time, minimum amount of investment, minimum amount of effort, they're using the stock cover images from KDP. Now, they may have a few images of stuff that they've done themselves, maybe. Like some really nifty pictures or something. Some nature scenes or something like that, which are always great on the front of a journal. But the majority of the journals, the dream journals, the daily journals, the planners, all of that are using those stock images. You don't get any individuation. You don't get anything that's really that much different than what everybody else is doing, which can be an issue. Thirsty business, this. All this talking. It's silly. Now, I looked out. My husband is an artist. He's done the artwork for the covers on both of my books. He's done the artwork for the covers of all but one of our journals. Well, I take that back. There's one that we did use a stock cover for. It's writing paper. It's got guidelines. So you can either be using it as somebody who does fine calligraphy to, size the letters and stuff like that, or you can hand it to your first grader to practice their writing. Either way. I didn't get picky about that one. But between he and I, both with me doing some computer art and then photography and some watercolor, and then him doing thematic, targeted illustrations for these journals and books and things, we've got a collection of very original pieces. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out and learn how to use DAZ and hexagon and that kind of stuff and learn how to do computer art. You don't need to pick up a paintbrush and learn how to paint. If you've got a decent camera and can hold it decently steady, you can take pictures of just about anything to put on the front of these books. Now, we've got one that's about vintage car cruises. You could go to a vintage car cruise and just do a scene shot of the whole place. If you're not identifying vehicles or identifying people, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Go out in the woods and shoot some flowers. When your house garden blooms, shoot some flowers. Part of the flowers that are on the front of some of the books are ones that are from our garden, and I just like to take pictures of them. There's two different books that has a picture of a teapot with a pink teapot cozy on it with crocheted flowers on the front of it. I made it. Got somebody in your family who makes things like that? Tell them to set it up. Set it up so that it's got a nice surround. And take a picture. Ask people that you know that you are close to if they have images that would work. You know, if you've got other people in your family that like to do a lot of photography, offer to cut them in. If nothing else, you can get their name on the book, because when you go down the listing, there is a space for putting other people into the contributor list, and you can put them in as illustrator, photographer, narrator, yada yada yada, whatever. Now, on the ones that I only did the interiors, I'm listed as contributions because I didn't write anything. There's some of the journals that we have done that are specific for people who like to do tabletop gaming with the role-playing games. And some of those role-playing games over the years have had game stories that have become basically urban legends. We're doing one now that's reciting those urban legends. No, I'm not doing a copy-paste on that. I know the urban legends, and I'm writing it from my point of view. But we have an image on the front that goes with it. And we have a first page in the book that's like, okay, who are you? What's your character's name? What game are you playing? And who's running the game, or the GM, the game master. There are hundreds of these game systems, so if you ever want to know, just go look up tabletop gaming. You'll be up to your ears in alligators. The page behind that has got the urban legend. The next page, excuse me, starts where you record what happened during that gaming session. Gamers like to keep notes. They keep notes. So here's a game journal. Keep your notes in here. They'll be in order. You'll know where they are. Plus, you get something a little spiffy to go with it. An urban legend. Or you can get one of the plain ones that doesn't have the urban legend, which is slightly less expensive. We've got books that have the map grids that people use. We have regular day planners, weekly planners. We've got completely blank journals. We've got sketchbooks. We've got comic book layout panels. We've got empty music sheets, including the tab ones for guitar. We've got a wide array of what kind of books we've put out. If you know somebody who has a literal junk car that they are determined they are going to keep running, I have a special journal just for them. But they're different. They're not all the same stuff. It's not identical to everybody else who's doing this delightful little sideline. Yes, It's the side hustle I do. But I don't care if anybody else is in competition. Fine by me. They're still not going to have the same stuff I do. There's no way. What I would like to see more people doing is more centered stuff that is not identical to everything else that's out there. I mean, come on, people. We need some variety in life. Variety. If you really want to bring attention to the line of products that you're making, make them stand out. And when you're releasing them, hit every social media that you use. List it. Plug the KDP listing number up. Make sure you've spread it as far and wide as you can. Get some of your friends to purchase the book. How you work that out is between you and them. But for them to do a review on Amazon, they have to show up as a registered purchaser. Otherwise, the review is not going to make the same impact. It won't get the same kind of attention. How you work it out with them? Fine. Figure it out. But get people to do reviews. Make sure they go look. Make sure that if they go look and they like, that they spread the news. It would be a good thing. Now, am I going to start up one of these channels like some of these others have done, where they sit there and try and go, okay, look, you pay me this much, I'll do you a class on this stuff? No. I'm not that ambitious. I would like to see my journals and stuff move. I would like them to get some attention. But no. I'm not going to start selling classes. Because let's be real. I've already told you most of the stuff that would be in the class anyway. If you want to use the information, go for it. If you need a little more information, like I said, I'll tell you where I came up with some of the interiors and stuff. Some of them are actually free. You don't have to necessarily pay for them. But if the PDF doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. And KDP will kick you right back out to go forth and either fix it or redo it or whatever. Now, there are also people who have gotten their accounts shut down because they have not been careful enough with whom they buy from, if they're buying, or whom they're getting from, if it's a freebie. So if you don't find a disclaimer or a license number amongst the stuff that you get when you go to download some of this stuff, you could get yourself bounced for copyright. They can shut your account down for copyright. And unless you've got proof that you got this stuff legit and have a right to use it, you could lose your account. Set up a file. Every time you buy something from somebody on Etsy or eBay, whatever, and they say on the receipt is your license. Don't lose that license. Most of it's going to all be digital stuff anyway. So when you get your receipt, file that thing right then, and do not erase your email. Archive that one right then. So you've got it in several places where you can go back and reference it if you have to. Otherwise, you have no way of proving that you have authority to use that material. And part of doing the KDP, you have a place that you have to mark that says you either hold the copyright information or you own this thing outright, or that it's, public access stuff like antique books and whatever, where people reprint some of them. You have to swear. That's a legal document there. You have to swear that you own or are authorized to use the material. Pay attention to that. Pay close attention to that. That's also one of the reasons I'm going back and taking some of the materials and going, no, I want my own stuff in there. There's some, like I said, there's some of it, it's just like, it's already in there. I'm not going to hassle it. And I have the authority to use it because of the site that I got it from. And I have the information on the site that I got it from. So there we go. But I'm hoping it's going to do a little bit of good. And I'm hoping that having people drawn in to look at those journals and the blank books and all that stuff will actually draw some extra attention to the other books, because they're all tangled in together under Morrison Created LLC. Morrison with one R. I'll put stuff in the description. Anyway, if you think this is a good idea and you've been contemplating it, here's the way to get started and hopefully do something that's different than what everybody else is doing, so that you stand out some. Standing out is nice. Being unique can get people interested in things. I mean, I've got an offer up that if people like the images but they want it with a different interior, they won't get it exclusively, because that's not how KDP works, but I'll do it and give them a little note in there that says, idea for this interior with this cover from da-da-da. So they'll get a little shout out, as well as getting the images they want with the interior they want. On our WordPress blog site, we've got the images up, and we'll sell those as posters. Those come directly from us. We've worked it out with a local printer that we can keep the prices to something reasonable and make it easy for you guys if you want the images. I'll put a link for that down there too. Yes, I'm still going to hustle while I'm at this. It's kind of my thing. Anyway, wear your mask if you're having an Omicron issue. Hopefully, you won't sneeze on anybody if you are ill. Hopefully, nobody will sneeze on you. Maybe if you wear your mask, some other people will remember to wear their mask. We can hope. Keep your distance. It's harder for them to sneeze on you if you are a bit distant. It's not impossible, it's just harder. Be nice to somebody for no good reason. No, really. It's just a nice thing to do. Don't scream at the clerks in the stores. Yes, I know this is the time of year for trying to rattle clerks in their boots. Let me remind you of something. The clerk at the register has no control whatsoever over stock or what's in the store or whether or not it's more expensive than you wanted it to be. They've been dealing with asshats all damn day. They're tired, they're hungry, they want to go home to their own kids. Do not take it out on them because you're tired, frustrated, and hungry and want to go home. It will not do anything except make both of your days miserable. And depending on who's with you in line, may get you punched out. Yeah. Don't start trouble. We don't need any more trouble. Just don't. Because always remember and never forget, I don't got your bail money. Bye.